Hello, my name is Anoa Changa.
The Way with Anoa. The Way with Anoa.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday night edition of The Way with Anoa. I am your host, Anoa Changa. So exciting to have you here with me this evening. As usual, there's a lot going on in the world, right? Just want to start off kind of on a little bit of a somber note for those of us who actually care about pop culture and movie and TV and stuff. Mary Tyler Moore passed away at 80. 80 is a good number. You know, she lived a very full life, but you know, for those who grew up watching the Mary Tyler Moore, and I know we have a wide range of ages and folks who watch the show, and also pick it up on the podcast. You know, she was a very interesting. Mary Tyler Moore was a groundbreaking actress. You know, I mean, at a time where women independence and stuff was first really coming to really the forefront in mainstream society in America. You know, the character Mary Richards was a single woman living and working on her own in the big city. That was like, even though a lot of us had moms or ourselves or grandparents who were already living that life, it wasn't new, but at least in terms of the way that mainstream American culture was being depicted, it was definitely, you know, a water-breaking or a groundbreaking watershed moment, you know, in the depiction of women and their independence. Other shows like of that era, in Carol, I'm trying to think. Now I was going to say Carol Burnett, but Carol Burnett just came to mind as well. But I think it's Gloria. I think like there's a channel called Aspire that shows all these really old, like late 60s, early 70s shows that some of the most integrated, like racially diverse shows. I think it was Gloria, with Diane Carroll, I think, as the main character. She was a single mother. She's a black, if you're not familiar with Diane Carroll, she's a black actress. She was a single mother. And she dated and stuff. So like these types of shows were like, I mean, this was a time where that really pushed the needle. It really pushed the envelope in terms of not just entertainment value, not just in terms of representation, but in terms of telling stories that were reflected of the changing times and the people, you know, that were going through these things, right? Like I think sometimes that we could learn something from the programming of the late 60s, early 70s and things that are being done now. So, you know, watching Mary Tyler Moore is someone, for if you're like an 80s kid like me, you know Mary Tyler Moore from spending time with your grandparents, and from particularly with my grandmother. So you know that there's some nostalgia kind of wrapped up in it for me. You know, she started off with the Dick Van Dyke Show. She did Broadway. I mean, she's an advocate for juvenile diabetes, which is something that's personally also very important to me. One of my nieces has juvenile diabetes. Shout out to my little niece, Zakaya Ruth Sneed. Love you, baby. But there's so much going on. And I just wanted to start there because no matter what you think about like white women and white feminism and things like that, like shows like the Mary Tyler Moore Show, I think I got it correct with the show Gloria with Diane Carroll. Like those types of shows really did, you know, kick up the notch from the June Cleaver type of show, or even the Black Woman is a Maid type of show. When I talk about someone like Diane Carroll playing the lead title character in a show, right? Like, so this was an era that really gave us a different step in representation and very strong women characters. So that's something that I just thought that was important to reflect on tonight. I thought that was, you know, especially we're in this moment when we talk about, you know, what role feminism is playing in our movements and our work and our lives, you know, what it's shaped to be over the years and what it was becoming maybe decades ago are possibly two totally different things. Speaking of feminism, shout out to our very own Wendy Muse, contributor with the Progressive Army with our blog site. Wendy just dropped an awesome piece. You gotta go. If you don't check out the blog, you definitely gotta go check out the blog. Sign up for the newsletter so you can get the daily alerts and stuff. But Wendy just dropped this awesome piece. And as I'm talking about, you know, Mary Tyler Moore's passing and representation, feminism, and strong women doing things, Wendy dropped this awesome piece because, you know, I've already talked about last night on the show, and I'll talk about it some more. Hopefully I'll get some more interviews in about the Women's March. Wendy saw something completely different, you know, from observing through social media stuff, this Add Her Name movement, right? And Wendy was able to capture, it's beautifully written. You guys hit Wendy up, Muse Wendy on Twitter, and tell her that we actually need to do an audio. We need to read out loud her piece because she wrote it in Acts, and it even has intermission. Like this is so like, it just blew my mind. So part of the whole thing about the Add Her Name thing was the fact that that allegedly quotes of Hillary Clinton's were being used by the march coordinators and organizers without attribution. That was one thing. My sis, she handedly dismisses all that nonsense, right? Because the quote in question, you know, it probably has been traced to many people. It's something that I myself have even said, right? Women's rights are human rights. Forgive my son, who has no respect for the fact that I'm actually talking to you right now. But shout out to the little homeboy in the background talking about gender roles and stuff, right? Who just cooked dinner. Yay, score mom, got the 13-year-old to go cook. But Wendy's piece, though, right? Wendy's piece is awesome because she not only addresses, you know, the issues of space and representation, but also with this Add Her Name thing. Because there's this whole big thing, like I guess there was a list of like activists and different people, and Hillary Clinton's name was not on there. A lot of people were really upset about that because she's the greatest champion of women's rights, blah, 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 blah. You know, Wendy masterfully, it's in, I believe it's 5 acts that she has. Like I said, it has intermission. It's a longer piece, but you know, when you got a brilliant mind, you got a brilliant scholar like Wendy Muse, you got to go in and just deal with the long piece. You got to go check the piece out. It's excellent. I've tweeted it out twice now. And I'm really trying to pull together my ladies roundtable folks so we can all read this out loud, because I really think that this needs to be read out loud for full effect. And then had a discussion. So hopefully we can get that scheduled at some point in time. But so I was just thinking about that in terms of this larger conversation. So we do have these older representations of women getting out there and doing things. And while they might be overly simplistic, particularly for the politics of the time, I think there's something that we can learn from looking at maybe some of the way, even if we're looking at maybe some of the missteps in some of these older representations, right? There are so many lessons to learn that we're not still reproducing and recreating the same exact stuff from 30, 40, 50 years ago. I think now we have a clearer mind. We have access to information in a completely different way that we can actually create opportunity to discuss things, to build with people in a manner that maybe could not have been done again several years ago. But also kind of tying into this, hopefully I'm getting this right, Keeanga-Yamahtta Taylor, professor from Princeton, wrote a piece that was in either yesterday or today's Socialist Alternative paper. Not Socialist Alternative. I keep saying Socialist Alternative, and that's not actually what the Socialist Worker. Socialist Alternative is the party. Socialist Worker. So there's a piece in Socialist Worker, I think it was yesterday, that talked about why we shouldn't just, crap on the Women's March people, and instead, where possible, pick people off that we can actually bring aboard onto our movement building, right? Because, and I really thought that this piece was interesting because there's so many different pieces and perspectives out there right now, coming out of the Women's March stuff. And Keeanga just wrote Black Lives Matter to Black Liberation. Shout out to Haymarket Books, which I was able to get a copy of and have on my bookshelf and still need to dig into. So hopefully I'll have time next week or so to dig in. But this is somebody that definitely has legit cred, you know what I'm saying, in this area. And this piece that was written basically talks about, how that regardless of what we feel like drove people there was this mass mobilization effort. And there are people who have at least gone on notice as saying they're willing to do something. They're willing to step up. And we need to, instead of, dogging people for why they did what they did, look at ways that we can work with them. because and I thought this was a really good point from the piece, that sometimes we get so focused on, you know, chastising people for what they've done wrong or what they should have done when but hadn't done before, even though they're trying now, that we marginalize our efforts and we limit the ability for that greater widespread opportunity for change and success overall in our movements. So I thought that was an interesting point that we can take into consideration. I'm not saying it's absolutely right. I'm not saying that we shouldn't, you know, let people know what's what. Because, you know, I most definitely, every time I see an annoying tweet or post from Sally Albright, who's friends with the White House press secretary, who's an idiot, I most definitely have to step in and correct the nonsense. But conversely, there are a lot of people who are just people who thought that they were making the right choice and doing a good thing, but they want to do something more and they don't really know how to get involved. They don't really know what to do. I was amazed when my godmother and her friend, both very well esteemed law professors, established women in their careers, they do social justice work, were asking me, how do they get involved? What more can they be doing? So I think that we need to be flexible and fluid as we engage with people. And Stacey, God, I love Stacey. Hopefully Stacey will be able to join me for a little bit in a little while, because Stacey, I always say, like, Stacey's like my organizing mentor, right? Like, Stacey has been involved with so many different efforts, Move On and Coffee Party and so many different things, and really has a good grasp on what that looks like. Ah, there she goes. Speak of the devil, she's silent.
Hello.
Hi, everybody. I have just been joined by Stacey Hopkins. Yay!
Yes, the savage is back. I got no chill, all tea, all shade for everybody. Working it out, but you know, I'm gonna cuss out everybody and then we'll just hug it out and get to work. But I got you. But how are you?
I am.
What did I miss?
What did you miss? Nothing. I just talked a little bit about Mary Tyler Moore, passing away, but you know, Mary Tyler Moore passing away. One thing Maximus said that Betty White ain't going nowhere.
She really ain't.
We were just watching something before we started, and Betty White was talking about her and their time together and stuff. And I was like, Betty White ain't going nowhere. Like, I don't know what deal she done made, but yeah.
Like Dick Clark, we thought he would just one day just disintegrate into dust. He was never gone, but it's kind of sad, you know. Yeah, right. I know she was a white woman, and you know, we couldn't relate, and she had privilege, blah 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 blah. But she did some things, and her achievements in TV helped pave the way for a lot of women, and you know, change attitudes about women working, and particularly the struggle of single women. So it wasn't, you know, relatable to a lot of Black women right now. They would be like, oh, that's just a white woman. It's like, nah, you got to look a little deeper. So I thank her for what she did, and she worked it like a boss business-wise, so big ups to her.
Yeah, she did. Oh, and I said earlier, the show with Diane Carroll was Gloria. Gloria was a spinoff of All in the Family. Julia was the Diane Carroll show. And that actually lasted 3 years. And that was a Black-led TV show, same era as the Mary Tyler Moore show. Black-led actress. She was a single mom. She was a nurse, single mom. And so that was another show of that era. So that's kind of like what I did in the beginning before you joined me. But
that was really good, because yeah, that was amazing for me. I watched it, you know, and to see these women, you know, transposed on TV was just really, it was something. So you got to give a nod.
Yeah, you have to give a nod. I mean, like I said, we can deconstruct it and have all the different analysis and stuff like that. But sometimes it's just good to just give the nod, take the lesson, and keep it pushing. But Stacey, like I don't know if y'all follow Stacey on Twitter. Follow Stacey on Twitter to get the nuggets. I was gonna say, don't come and start trolling my sister, because the savagery is real. Like, there's so much going on right now.
I don't mean to. It's just I'm getting old, y'all. I ain't got patience. I ain't got time for this.
I was gonna say, I can tell you don't have time and patience because there's so much going on, and I know you participated at least a little bit in the Disrupt J20 events down here in Atlanta. But between the stuff Trump is talking about in terms of going into Chicago and he's going to build the wall and then build Mexico for it and all types of stuff. I mean, we've had several executive orders. We got this whole resistance. I just always love your perspective, and I just really wanted to get your viewpoint on like this whole range of things. I am not the only one. There are a lot of people who I understand that we got some folks out there. I won't name no names today. We'll name names some other time, but I know there's some people who have misused or not listened to your words of wisdom. But we'll spill tea some other time. Tea time. I'll finally get tea time off the ground. But but I really do appreciate your perspective and your insight into these things, because you have a longevity. So just anywhere you want to start, like it's a state.
Well, I mean, okay. You mentioned J20 in Atlanta. It was a really nice gathering. What was good for me to see was, usually you go to these events and you see the same crew. I saw more new faces than old faces.
Okay.
We had a lot of pro-immigration groups out. GLAR, they always go hard. Adelina Nichols was out there. Azadeh Shashahani. I think she's with ACLU. I don't know where she's at now. She was National Lawyers Guild, and she's a badass too. And so this was a little rowdier, turn up song. Southerners on the New Ground was out. So this was the roots. And we was like, we ain't having it. And we wasn't waiting till that day. We was turning our behinds up at Donald Trump while he was being inaugurated, because we really didn't want to see it. So we marched from Troy Davis, also known as Woodruff Park. That was the staging ground. We marched from there down to the Atlanta City Jail. And then we protested there against the mass incarceration and deportation. So that was kind of a solidarity point. And then we went there for a rally in front of City Hall. That was interesting. There was a lot of speakers out there, and I was running around. I was tired, okay? So, I'm old, but plus most of the fun is like in the back and in the crowd. So, and then you're seeing people, and then me with my big mouth, Minnie! Minnie Ruffin was out there. She's like the guardian saint of activism and organizing. Now that's an OG savage. Minnie's good people. So we were out there, and I got a t-shirt. There's these brothers that showed up in a white bus, and they had At the Date movie. I believe they're on Instagram, but they gave me a great shirt. Don't fuck this up. Trump 2017. And I think that is like perfect, that's the perfect slope. That's all we want. Just don't nothing. That should be the slogan.
I guess he's already decided he's not going to listen to us on that one, huh?
Nah, he really ain't. And that's what people need to, and that's what infuriates me. You cannot apply any moral or ethical to people who lack that. I mean, these are sociopaths. These folks, they give zero fucks. Can we has it? No. Can we has it now? No. Can we has it again? How many times are you gonna keep asking them and they keep telling you no before you get it? See, y'all hard-headed. And see, I got 5 kids, and this is why I have no patience, because I have 5 kids. And this reminds me of, and I don't mean to reduce it to a juvenile level, but it's a way that I can relate, and it's a way to make easy analogies for people to understand. And right now, everybody's scared, hungry, they're tired. It's like walking into, for people like me who are outliers, who are also introverts, it's like looking into a room. So and I see a room of a whole bunch of kids, and I'm like, you know what? You sit down and you come in and you give me that and you put that down, and y'all just sit right here next to me. Everybody needs to first calm down because everybody wants to do something. That's great. That's a wonderful thing. And I really don't want to dampen that, but everybody is doing it wrong. First of all, there's a lot of strategies they're not bad strategies. They're on the wrong fucking target. They don't want to hear your stories about you dying. I sure hate to hear that. We're going to cut this program. They don't care. You have to talk to them that they understand. And that's where the Democrats and progressives and on the left do not talk about very well is the economic side. We've got great policy. We just don't know how to explain it.
Right.
And then when we do, we kind of muddle it very badly when we do, or we just don't think about it. But it's a problem. You see strategies that are not effective and being used, and some of it is just straight up, folks is like, you know what, folks who have been in the game, we see what you're doing. And, I really wish more people would speak up because there's a lot it is crazy what is going on. And I'm seeing a whole lot of stuff like the Women's March. I was throwing shade because I really didn't want to go. And people kept asking me, are you going? And no. That's a complete sentence. And then people want me to expound on it. And then I tell them why I'm not going. Then they get mad. And then I'm like, well, why are you mad? You shouldn't have asked me. You asked me why I didn't want to go.
Well, why? Well, tell us. Why? What was it about it? Why didn't you want to go?
It turned out, do you know what it was about other than yay women? Well, first it was supposed to be yay marginalized. We're here to lift up the voices that traditionally aren't heard. And then, it just blew up because this is one thing Democrats do best. They can never they love a good co-opting. And so once this thing started getting big, I have seen this and have actually gotten involved with one of those a Facebook post. When I hear it starts by a Facebook post, I'm like, you know what? That is, in the words of my grandma, that's truly wonderful. Y'all call me when, because I've gotten sucked into it too many times. People get together and you put together a great march. A march has its purpose, and it's great to raise awareness and you have a ball. But you got to think of the thing. We talk about we broke, we ain't got no money. Y'all know how much money y'all spend up there in Washington, D.C. Come back there, activists like me and organizations got to come with your hand out, and then y'all say y'all ain't got it. And that's when I look at y'all and say, y'all are goddamn lie, because y'all just spend buku money up there. Now, somebody got it. That's one part of the fuckery that goes around. And there was some co-opting going around, and the voice got changed. And all I saw was a giant anti-Trump march. And then, yay, that's great. We needed people marching 6 years ago, 4 years ago, 2 years ago. And there were people, y'all had some soldiers out there who were ready to ride and die. And I've seen them fall away. It's like, I can relate to those who watched people die in the AIDS epidemic. You're watching people die on the field and you're like, damn, we lost another one. Either people went to the dark side because there's money to be made in the suffering.
Right.
Understand the things that we face externally with our quote unquote enemy, the other side, however you want to characterize it. We face it internally and we don't talk about it, and it's ugly and it's nasty. We can't do shit till we clean up our own house.
Absolutely.
We can't do shit until we're able to say, you know what, see something, say something. That goes for everybody. Helpers out there, there's good ones out there. Very rare. They're like unicorns. But, Well, unicorns don't exist, so I can't say that.
I think you just made a really good point, right? When you were just like, people need to have been doing this like before now. Okay, it got to this point, and now everybody's like, oh my God, but we need to be doing this before, like even with the president we liked for the most part, right? Because now we have President Trump, we have him in there. He's to avoid congressional gridlock. He has signed, I forget what the total number of executive orders is at this point. He hasn't even been in a full week yet. I saw someone's post earlier, and they were like, why didn't Obama do this when he first got into office? He could have done this when he first got into office. He actually had a mandate. He actually had a majority the same way, right? Like, but there's never, we've had executive orders now in terms related to Keystone and the Dakota Access Pipeline. We have the immigration, the increase in ICE officers or Border Patrol agents and building the wall. New language coming out in regards to funding or removing funding from cities that are so-called sanctuary cities. I mean, we see so much coming on. In addition to his promise to send in federal troops to take over Chicago. I mean, like that actually scares me the most. I mean, I'm not insensitive to the struggles of other people, but like the potential for him to send troops into Chicago, that scares me the most, being that's where I've spent a lot of formative years. I have a lot of friends and family members, well, not family members, but friends and children and stuff we know there. But I don't know, like you were just saying, like people should have been doing this. What can people do now? Everybody talk about this resistance. What can folks do now? Can we do anything now? Right? Like, what should we be doing?
What they're doing, I mean, keep doing it, but understand this. It's practice. It's like robbing me. If you were to rob me right now, you'd be practicing. What y'all are doing right now is really great training, but you're practicing because your target gives no fucks, right? So, because right now, this fight has gone into another arena. Mm-hmm. It may have been effective, but you have a target. You can't take them out of votes. On the congressional side, they're protected with the gerrymandered districts. You even have that going on the state level, which is something that's very not looked at. But the playing field you're not in pole position on any playing fields. Only people who can stop anything would be in the legislative, judicial, legal realms. So, right. Do what you can do how you can help is keep practicing, because these rallies and organizing this stuff is really good practice. But get in touch with your legislators, your allies. Figure out who are your allies. Okay. In your government, and when they need you to come out, when they tell you we need to pack this, state legislative house, do like y'all did. Drop everything and go. Mm-hmm. Take off lunch hour. And the bad thing is that things usually happen during the work and school hour. That's when most of the bewitchery gets done. About what goes on locally, and on the state level. Know who, educate yourselves, find the organizations who have been doing things. Chances are, if you never heard of them, check them out, because they're probably doing something. The ones who are begging for money, the ones who flooded, because that was another thing. That's a good key. Whoever flooded your mailbox while the march was going on, and I'm not even going to put any names. Those are the ones you don't. Like the groups like GLAR, I rather roll with them, Song, Project South. There's so many underground groups who have been doing it. I really hear them asking them for a dime. But you have to self-sustain these groups, because they have to, once they have to get on their knees and ask for the money, which goes to the whole about Chicago. Where's Jim Brown and Kanye and everything? Then they go up there and try to ask for money. They sent guns. I keep telling y'all folks, but
Steve Harvey, right? Like, yeah.
They went up there and asked for money, and you see what he sent. So y'all keep waiting for him to make it rain. But give shit about no black unity or we're coming together and black empowerment. You know, if you out there for the dollar, just say it. Just keep it 100. Let me know. Okay, if you about that dollar, you going to get that money. That's good. Do you? But don't say you helping me. But I know where you coming from. It's really crazy to hear people just like as soon as Donald Trump turned it, you don't hear him talking about fuck capitalism now. Now everybody's like, I gotta get mine. And it's like, see, this is how we got here. So I gotta call BS on everybody. And I know they can come at me, you know, a lot of stuff that was kind of alarming, you know. Trump is your friend. He put a freeze on federal hiring. Black people, 20% of black people work in the public sector. He just put some of your folks out of the job. But there's plenty of minimum wage jobs, ones that he won't pay a living wage. So tell me how Trump is going to help us. You know, I hear these
Absolutely. I was actually
jumped into it.
Yeah, you jumped into it already. I was going to ask you, like, what do you think about?
Blow up now.
I was going to ask you what you thought about Trump, this whole notion of Trump, or at least seeing what he has to say or negotiating with him or trying to see. But like you said, when Jim Brown and a Kanye and Steve Harvey and Omarosa and whoever else like actually go, well, what's his name? Which one of the boxers? Ray, what's his name? You know, when they go to meet with him or whatever, what he is so stuck on stupid, you know, his answer to what is historical, endemic, systemic issues in Chicago. It's not as simple a matter of just sending in troops and enacting martial law and other stuff. Like I'm legit scared if that is a scenario that does actually play out in any form. I'm legit scared for my friends who are raising kids. Like I talked last week about the incident I had happen with Max just out here playing in Atlanta with his friends. Can you imagine that scenario in a system where we now have martial law imposed with just kids just randomly playing, and then you have people who are hypersensitive and hyper on alert because they think little black boys just run around with guns murdering each other? Like I'm legit scared about what, you know, these threats. And Rahm Emanuel, let's just also be clear, Rahm Emanuel is a bitch baby. He's a bitch baby to the umpteenth power. He is not going to stand for the people of Chicago because he hasn't done that already in his 2 terms, right? Like,
Donald Trump's biggest problem is the people of Chicago.
Yes.
You know,
Rahm Emanuel is not going to
squat up and be like, "What you got?" You know, it's going to be ugly, and you really hate to see it, but it looks like we're going down that path. You can't ask people to sit there and just sing "Amazing Grace" watching their people get slaughtered. You can't ask black men to watch their black women and their black children being abused. Folks is going to get mad, and folks is going to come at that ass. And I can't tell them anymore not to do that because I understand. And it's very difficult, you know. Nonviolence is something we've been trying to achieve since we've been busting each other in the head since we came out of the muck.
Right.
We got to work on that. Okay. That's a thing. And that's a thing that seems to have gotten worse. And I don't have the answer. No one really has the answer. We can try. We have a lot of things that we can do, but that we don't. I mean, this is why we have laws. 9% of y'all folks out here don't know how to damn act. So if everybody would act right, we wouldn't need them. People don't. Everybody tries to get over. If you have an opportunity to get over, most folks, no, I wouldn't do it. Use a damn lie. You know, people will try it. You'll think about it, you know. And that's part of man's higher level of thinking. Some of us is just like thought about it and go for it. And that's why we have laws. But you know, it is scary and it is terrifying. And you know, you're just sitting there and I'm looking at the GOP like, you gonna let your boy do this? Really? Y'all are gangster as hell. And I gotta love them for that. And it's like, Okay, so what? You're gonna let him sign in all the stuff you want done, and then you're gonna pull him out under his feet because you had them Tea Party folks, and they kind of got buck wild, and you couldn't control. It's like asking, can you watch your kids? Because I've seen them, and you can't bring them to my house no more. They don't know how to act, and this is if there is any. The Bilderbergs or whatever, the Illuminati, they're doing what they want. Now would be, they got to tell us who they are, but this would be a good time to step in. I'm just saying, because this boy might kill all of us.
It's like we just.
But you come in the hood, it's gonna be ugly because this ain't the 50s and 60s.
Not at all. Not at all.
I ain't having it.
Well, I mean, it's so crazy. Like it's so crazy, just having this conversation, and like, I get that. I think the point that several people are making now that I've seen is that, this supposed concern for law and order, that's prime freaking real estate. You got that lakefront property, because they can't move all them people out there. They was able to move a lot of people in Chicago out because of the Hope 6 that led to the public housing redevelopment, which in Chicago was called the Plan for Transformation. And they were able to empty out many of the larger public housing complexes and turn them into mixed income housing. It was estimated that at one point in time, like with all that redevelopment that was happening nationwide, it was estimated that only approximately 25% of former public housing residents would actually return to the redeveloped properties. So even though these programs were taken initially under the guise of Hope 6, but if you read the intent and purpose, the congressional intent and purpose of Hope 6 was to improve the lives of public housing residents, but ultimately what we've seen is the displacement of a vast majority of these residents with no actual return in sight. But so they were able to get those people out. So they were able to get some of that property back, get some redevelopment and stuff going on. But in regular rental and regular home ownership in the city, you can't just get rid of people, right? I mean, without an allegedly valid public purpose. It's not like the city can just go snatching up, eminent domain just because they want to. It has to be supposedly a valid public purpose, even if part of that public purpose is semi-private. We have the Kelo case out of, I think that was Connecticut. Could be getting my northeastern states confused, but the Kelo case that allowed for the seizure of property for what was really a semi-private public development, and you see that with properties being labeled blighted so that people can come get it, but you can't just label a whole section of a city blighted, right? So in Chicago, something more drastic, and we're talking about a president who's a real estate mogul or wannabe real estate mogul, however you look at his success. So like, you got to also look at what are the ulterior motives and whether or not that actually provides, an alternative for people to challenge him. So I think, Stacey, you have actually made this point to me several times that we're going to have to get back to the old school strategy of getting in there with litigation to attack a lot that's going on in this with this administration, like our old school social justice lawyers, our lawyers in general, I think are going to have to play a really strong part in communities mobilizing around legal efforts, like we saw with the civil rights movement. That's going to have to be like it's a serious strategy
of everything. This is going to be throw it all up against the wall of gumbo. This is everybody on deck. You got parents like me who paid a whole lot of money to send some of y'all to college. Pay your mama and daddy back. Yeah. Okay. You got all that knowledge, go get the training and then you'll get paid. You find that you do what you love, you'll be good at it. And then the money will come. Y'all be all right, but we need y'all. And like I said, we paid a lot of money for that. But it's going to be a mixture of everybody. And part of it is looking at the civil rights movement. It was more than just the marches. It was a organizing structure that had communication. You had a convergence of the Black church. You had radio stations. You had the faith community. I mean, Georgia movement. So this is going to be taking a little bit of a whole lot of things. We're going to have to take a whole lot of pieces of movements and put them together, but implement them when they are the most effective as part of an overall strategy. And it's just saying, okay, we got this idea, we're going to do this. And, and that's what makes me crazy, because like I got no chill. I got 5 kids, so I ain't got time for y'all. And some of y'all, like, you have really good hearts, and I really hate to cuss y'all out, but some of y'all stroking your hand, telling you look pretty. Go, you want something to do? I'll tell you what to do. Well, I don't want to do that. Well, what you ask me for? Well, I want to do this. Well, that's not going to help. Well, why are you mean to me? Because you asking me stupid questions.
Well, what are some of the things that people should be doing, Stacey? Like, instead of asking you questions,
real, I'm serious. Everybody chill.
Roll one is
take something, whatever it is, chill. Whatever. Everybody needs to just stop for a minute and breathe. Let the Democrats do what they do. Let whoever, Republicans, whoever wants to help fix this. This is a call to moderate Republicans, the ones who are sitting back there throwing shade, and they sitting back there like, I don't know what the hell is going on. This is your time too, because believe it or not, there are Republicans who are like, these motherfuckers here, and I'm like, I know these are your people. You need to go get your boy. And this is the time for a lot of people to rise and shine. You had a crazy idea, put it out there. Who knows, it might work. But we really need to stop. They're who want to be activists, that's great. You need to learn how to be activists. You want to run for office, that's great. You need to learn how to run for office. You want to help save a party, and pick a party. They're all a hot mess. Every single one of them, they're fixer-uppers. Okay, just find one and just go get to work. Because everybody, my party's better than your party. Your party is a hot mess. I'm like Oprah. Your party's a mess. Your party's a mess. And if you want to do that, then do precinct organizing. And they all have common themes. They all have central components to them, but they have a little different tracks. If you want to run for office, there's certain things you need to do. If you want to run for office right now, I'm going to tell you the first thing you need to do is get 2 things together. Email list, contact list. Mm-hmm. That's like money. Mm-hmm. That's for anybody. Okay. Information is power, not money, people. People will kill you for your email list. You get that together, and list, and you start calling people for money.
That's what we see. Everybody be dogging. Everybody trying to get that Bernie list, right? Everybody trying to get that Bernie list. The Democrats.
Build your own damn list for your own damn district.
Definitely.
Local. If you want to run, make sure you get those fees. Get your squad together. When you put your campaign team together, I'm going to tell you right now, don't get your friends and your family, because then you'll be too loyal. You want people who can do the job. Mm-hmm. In a circle around you that you can trust. You keep them there, but don't give too many of them jobs, because I've seen too many. Well, I would hire you, but I got my sister's cousin and all of them, and I'm like, okay, do they know this? Well, they on Facebook and Instagram. Okay, all right, well, you take care now. So look around in your network. If you need an accountant, don't hire your somebody you don't know up the street. Hire that friend or offer them something.
Right.
They'll probably donate services. You gotta hustle. Starting a business, you got to find some good people. So you get your squad together, you get your money together, you find out and get your dates together. Know when you have to file, and find out your registration dates. And there are a lot of good organizations out there that will help you run. Be careful who comes up to you. You'll get them phone calls. If you're in Georgia, you'll get one of them calls from down in South Georgia with that syrupy, sweet voice. Hey there, gal, how you doing? And be careful of them calls. The jackals come in different. Hollering at you who didn't holler at you before.
Stacey.
I'm telling y'all a lot of shade now.
Stacey, we're gonna have to put a pin in it right there because Ben is coming right after me. But
okay.
I want all of y'all to go and follow and like Stacey Hopkins if you have not already done so on Twitter. Do not harass her though. But seriously, and we're gonna Stacey, and also Stacey needs to have her own weekly something, right? Everybody, like, cause she has so much great insight and knowledge. Maybe she does the tea time and I just come hang out with her. But anyway, this has been another edition of The Way of Anoa. I was joined by the super savage, awesome Stacey Hopkins. Until next week, peace.
Bye.